learners, welcome to Mathematics Form 3. I am your teacher, Mr. Nderitu, and we are still looking at quadratic equations and quadratic expressions. We have been talking about quadratic expressions, and I think now we are through with it. We have done the expressions, we have made them perfect squares, and today we are now starting to look at quadratic equations. I hope you still remember the difference between an equation and an expression. Now, back in Form 2, we could solve questions using a method that we had learned. Let me take an example here. X squared plus 5x plus 1 is equals to 0. Back in Form 2, we could say first of all, you factorize these two, this side of the quadratic expression by taking a is equals to 1, b is equals to 5, and c is equals to 1. Then we think of product of two numbers to give us 1, because 1 times 1 is 1, and the sum to give us b, which is 5. Now, you see that thinking of these two numbers, it is not something logical. Even if you are to take the whole day there thinking, at the level at which we are in, it would be a little bit impossible for you to think of two numbers whose product is 1 and sum is equals to 5. So what happens at this stage? Then this method fails to work for us. And that's where now we start looking at this method known as using completing square method. And that is what we want to learn today. So that next time, when you are thinking of those two numbers, and maybe you reach somewhere, you cannot find the product of the sum, then you can skip this method, and then we use now the method that we're going to teach ourselves today. So this is how we do it. Number one, we first eliminate this value of c by taking it on the other side of the equation. So that now we have x squared plus 5x, there is no c, is equals to, this was positive 1, so moving on the other side it becomes a negative 1. So once you do that, I have eliminated the c. Therefore, using the knowledge that we were learning the other time, I can create my own c, a process known as completing the square. And we had said we complete square by saying b all over 2 squared is equals to ac. Therefore, I have b, which is 5 all over 2 squared is equals to a is 1, so 1 times c is just c. And from there I can see that squaring this, we have 25 all over 4 is equals to c. I'm going to work with it as a mixed fraction, there's no problem, as an improper fraction, pardon, and it will be easier for me instead of trying to divide it. So this will be, so this c, I fill it here. So I come and add, let me use a different pen, I add, or I write positive 25 all over 4. Now, if I write positive 25 all over 4 on one side, this equal sign is not true because I have added something on this side. I must also come and add 25 all over 4 on the other side so that they remain to be equal. So what I've done, this value of c, I have added it here to make it a perfect square, and also added it on the other side to maintain the equals value. From there, I had given you a shortcut of solving a quadratic, which is perfect. We say that you square root the first part. We want to factorize it, which is x. Take the value of the sign of b, which is plus, and the square root of the last number, which is now 5, square root of 4, 2. Put it in a bracket, and then you have this as, what is 1 minus 25 or over 4? I can just call this negative 4 over 4 plus 25 or over 4. It is easier for me to reason with it that way. This will give me 21 minus 4, because I'm subtracting minus 4 minus that, or over 4. That is 21 or over 4. From there now I can proceed. This is a square. Because of this is equals to a value. So at this level, I square root both sides. There we have it. This will give me x plus 5 all over 2 is equals to. Remember we say that a quadratic must have two answers. Therefore, this is going to be interpreted as plus or minus the square root of 21 all over 4. Now at this level, I want to pick my calculator. You can also pick your calculator. Pick it so that you can proceed with it. We want to look for the square root of 24. So as I pick my calculator, I want to, maybe we can proceed with what we have here. So the square root of this, I'm finding it as, so the first answer, we proceed with it, it will be x plus 5 all over 2 is equals to, what is the square root of 21 all over 4? Starting with positive. So it will be positive. Let me work that out and see. It gives me positive 4.58 all over 2. That's for the positive side. Therefore, pushing this on the other side, we find the first x. Remember, I will get two values of x. So the first one will be when this is positive. The second one is when this is negative. So when this is positive, I get the value, the first one as x is equals to negative 0.417 divided by 2, which is equals to negative 0.2085. That is the first value of x. For the second one, I repeat the same, but now this will still be 5 over 2 is equals to negative square root of 21 over 4, which is equals to negative 9.583 or over 2, giving us, when you push this here, we have x2. x2 is equals to negative 4.792. Now, you see that's why we were having a very hard time thinking of the product of two numbers or the sum of two numbers, because some of these values are, it's not possible to use the form 2 method. Therefore, we tend to borrow this method known as solving a quadratic by using completing square method. And I'll go through it very fast as we wind up. Step 1, we say you remove this c to the other side. So now you don't have a c. Using this method, you complete the square by saying that b over 2 squared is equals to ac. It makes a perfect square. Once you get the perfect square, where c is equals to 25 over 4, you add it on both sides. So we had it here and also on this side. So this one was negative 1. I had wrapped it because of the space. It was negative 1. Then I had to add 25 all over 4. Since I'm supposed to add on both sides, so that it maintains the equal sign. From there, we square root both sides. I've used the shortcut that I had taught you, where you square root the first number, take the sign of b, square root the last number. Then from there, we say cross it in a bracket and put a square. Up to that level, we have not solved the quadratic. So the next thing is to square root both sides so that I can eliminate this square. Once you eliminate, you remain with x plus 5 over 2 is equals to. Now at this stage, you must have two answers. Every quadratic has two answers. We even did that back in form 2. You cannot have a quadratic with one answer. So that's why I'm introducing plus or minus. And that is true because we know, like for example, the square root of 4. In mathematics, we say the square root of 4 is plus or minus 2. Why? Minus 2 times minus 2 is positive 4. And positive 2 times positive 2 still gives you positive 4. That's why we are having two values of the square root. At that level, the plus side will give you one answer, and the minus one will give you the second answer. And at that level, next time we are going to ask ourselves, what if the a is not 1? Okay, let me take you through the challenge that happens. Assuming it was something like 7. Let me put a big 7 so that you don't confuse it with the 1. If it was a 7, at this level, it would be hard for me to proceed using my shortcut method that I had shown you. What if a is 7? It's not possible for me to proceed with my shortcut. So next time you're going to look at what happens if a is not equals to 1. There must be a method so that you can still learn more about completing square method. So thank you very much. Let us meet next time.